think on the surface, when you look at the 49ers cornerback situation, it sets up pretty well for them. But when you dig a little deeper, and by deeper, I mean depth, that's where things start to get a little bit iffy. And if there's one spot in the NFL where it seems like attrition really plays a role, it's at the cornerback position. Very few teams, I haven't done the homework, but very few teams, it seems like, are able to start the top two corners or the top three, if you put in the Nickelback, for the full 17 game schedule. So depth is very important. And last year, if you look at the 49ers, where were they? Well, Charvarius Ward was a starter, Diamador Lenore was a starter, and then later in the later in the season, Renardo Green became a starter due to injuries. And I thought Renardo Green played very well, and now he is in position to be, along with Diamador Lenore, the starters when the 49ers have two cornerbacks on the field. But from last year, Charvarius Ward no longer around, signs a big money contract with the Indianapolis Colts. Also, Isaac Yiadom no longer around, and Rock Ya-Sin is no longer around. But the 49ers did bring in some guys that can help them in this area. And this time of year, during this 40-day break where the 49ers are not practicing, the end of mandatory mini camps happened more than a week ago. And then training camp opens with the veterans reporting on the 22nd of July. There's talk around the NFL that the Miami Dolphins, they've said it themselves. They're looking to trade Jalen Ramsey, cornerback, veteran guy who's been around a while. He's expected to get traded or find his way onto a new team before the start of training camp. And so the question always becomes, what about the 49ers? And I don't know that I see that happening. If there was a team in the NFC West that you would kind of put the pieces together, it would certainly be the LA Rams. And, I think their cornerback situation is probably less defined than the 49ers. But what Sean McVay said about the possibility of adding Jalen Ramsey is that a big move like that, there's a lot that goes into it and a lot of build up to it and a lot of kind of setting the roster up for a move like that. And what he told reporters in LA, actually, they're doing their training camp or their mini camp in Maui. He said there would be some obstacles that are real that are in place of maybe preventing that from occurring. So I look at the Rams being, having Jalen Ramsey for what, 4 seasons. They know what they're getting in the player and the person, and it kind of sounded like Sean McVay was setting things up for the Rams not getting him. I don't think the 49ers would be in play for Jalen Ramsey for many of the same reasons. And the two big ones being that the 49ers have set up their roster to incorporate young players onto the field and, kind of moving on from some of the veteran players. And their goal is to get younger, to get less expensive. And by getting a player like Jalen Ramsey, where they'd also be giving up future draft capital in order to acquire him, they would not be getting younger, they would not be getting less expensive, and they did not be setting themselves up to add potentially a good player down the road. So that's why I don't think that that'll happen. But let's look at what the 49ers have right now at the cornerback position. And on their roster, they have 11 cornerbacks. Last year, during the season, they kept six. And I think that they can be, you can figure on the 49ers keeping 5 or 6 cornerbacks on their roster again. And one of those spots could very well be a special teams guy, a specialist. And I have a player in mind for that and someone that I think, the 49ers envision in that role as well. And that would be Saran Neal, who is a special teams player through and through. And we'll talk a lot about the 49ers and putting an emphasis, a renewed emphasis on special teams and allowing Brant Boyer, the 49ers special teams coordinator, to bring over some players that he likes. Well, Saran Neal has played a lot in the NFL, 114 games in his career, but he only has one start And that came in 2019 with the Buffalo Bills, who he played a lot of seasons with. And then last year, he was with the Dolphins. So if Saran Neal makes this team, makes the 53-man roster, it'll be as a special teamer first and foremost, and then an emergency cornerback. But let's go through where the 49ers are. Right now, 11 cornerbacks on their roster. And I think, when you look at the returners, Diamador Lenore is a starter. Diamador Lenore, I think last year had his breakout season. He is a really good player. I think he can take it to another level by generating more takeaways. So Lenore's a starter. I think Renardo Green is a starter. 49ers took him in the second round back in 2024, a year ago. In 2024, for a reason. That's because they envisioned him being a year two starter. Of course, he did start some games last year, generally played well. I thought he had a good offseason program. 49ers really look set at the cornerback position with Lenore and Renardo Green. They just need some help from the pass rush to get there so that they don't have to stay in coverage all day long. And then the third cornerback, um, Upton Stout, obviously the draft pick, was selected with the 100th overall pick for a reason, because the Friars see him as a very valuable nickelback component to their defense. The nickelback, the third cornerback, the guy who covers the slot receiver, he's on the field for 2/3 of the time, but he's going to have to earn it, Upton Stout is, and he'll probably have to earn it over Trey Brown. Trey Brown played 4 years with the Seattle Seahawks, 10 starts over the past two seasons. He was a fourth round draft pick in 2021. 49ers kind of got him on the bargain basement deal, only 1 year for 1.67 million. Where the 49ers see Trey Brown is a guy that has nickelback capabilities. He didn't do it much with Seattle, so there's not a whole lot on film of him playing the nickelback role. But the 49ers see him as a guy who can slide into that role. So as I look at it right now, there could be some really good competition. In fact, when you look at the defense, this lines up as a very important competition, or at least a person who wins that job is going to have a very vital role in the 49ers defense, and that's playing the nickelback position. So Trey Brown, fifth-year player, hasn't played nickel before, really, in the NFL, and the 49ers see something in him. He's going to compete against Upton Stout. A couple of the carryover guys, and this is a make or break year for Darrell Luter. Fifth round draft pick in 2023, 49ers, it's well documented. A lot of success in the fifth round. But through two seasons in the league, injuries have kept him out a while. Only 10 games in two seasons. Last year, played in just 3 games. Started off the season with the injury that he was battling, a deep bone bruise in his knee, a hyperextended knee in the offseason program, and then later ended up on injured reserve with a pelvis injury. So Darrell Luter looking to be the third or fourth cornerback, meaning outside cornerback. And then another guy carryover from last year is Chase Lucas, and he is a nickelback, also a good special teams player. He played 12 games with the Detroit Lions in 2023, but they did not tender him as an exclusive rights free agent, which meant that he was free for any team to sign. The 49ers signed him. He did not make their team, their 53-man roster, but he was on the practice squad the entire season, did not play in a regular season game. So those are the players, the carryover players, Lenore, Green, Luter, and Lucas. Luter, make or break season is not by any stretch guaranteed a spot on the roster. Same goes for Chase Lucas as he looks to use last year's stint on the practice squad as a springboard onto the 53-man roster. The Friars brought in the two established veterans I talked about, Trey Brown from Seattle and also Saran Neal, a special teams player from the Dolphins. And then Upton Stout enters the mix. There are two veteran guys that the 49ers are looking to add some competition, guys who have bounced around a little bit. Well, I should say bounced around. Trey Avery has played 3 years in the NFL. He's appeared in 38 games with 5 starts for the Tennessee Titans, no starts last season. He will be competing for a job for the 49ers as well as Dallas Flowers. And by the way, Dallas Flowers made his presence known during the mandatory minicamp with an interception of Brock Purdy. But Dallas Flowers is kind of a longer cornerback, 6'1". He's played 3 seasons in the NFL, 21 games he appeared in, 5 starts, played with Indianapolis and played a couple of games with Tampa Bay last year. So those guys are, I would consider long shots to make the 53 man. But hey, if you're in camp and you have some NFL experience, the door is open for you to kick that down. And then the 49ers also brought in a couple of undrafted rookies who are on the 90-man roster. The 2 guys that certainly long shots. I do expect one of their guys to, I would say, no question, be on the practice squad at least, and that's Jacob Robinson from BYU. Spent his first year in college at Utah State. The 49ers did give him $100,000 guarantee to sign as an undrafted rookie, which basically tells him and telegraphs that there will be a spot on the practice squad if he doesn't make the 53 man, facing a very uphill battle to make it to the 53 man. Now he's a small guy, 5'10". He gained 13 pounds from the end of his college season to the draft process. So he was under 170 pounds playing for BYU. And he gained that weight and still ran a 4.39 at his pro day. So this is somebody who had 11 interceptions at BYU. He's explosive, as you see by the numbers of the 4.39 at his pro day. Has a nose for the football. He's tough. He's aggressive. He just lacks size. Now he has a little bit more size, and that really put him on the radar to be signed as an undrafted rookie. So Jacob Robinson, a cornerback to keep an eye on, should stick around the entire season, at the very least on the practice squad. And then the 49ers brought in a bunch of tryout guys for their rookie mini camp. Out of all the guys they brought in, they only signed one player, and that was Derek Canteen from Cincinnati. He got no guaranteed money, but he stood out to them with his physical skills. He's not huge, but good, okay size for a cornerback, 5'10", 193. Has what they were looking for, measured well, tested well, and gets a roster spot. So Derek Canteen gets a spot on the 90-man roster. I believe he took the roster spot of Trey Tomlinson, whom the 49ers picked up off waivers from the Rams. They put him on injured reserve during this offseason program. So that is the competition. 11 cornerbacks right now. All 11 should be healthy and ready to go for training camp. So if they keep 6, Lenore, Green are locks. I think Trey Brown is a lock. I think Upton Stout is a lock. So that's 4 guys right there. I think that Saran Neal will probably get a roster spot as a special teams guy. So that's 5, which means Darrell Luter, Lucas, Trey Avery, Dallas Flowers, and the undrafted rookies, Robinson and Canteen, battling for one spot. I think I would go with Luter for the 6th cornerback spot, assuming he stays healthy and he makes progress. The 49ers have kept him around. They like him. They think that he has what it takes to make it. He just has to get on the field and stay on the field. So that's where the 49ers are right now. I don't think that they'll be looking to add a big name cornerback to the mix, such as Jalen Ramsey, because they have their starters. And I think they have some good options at the cornerback position. But as I talked about, where it becomes iffy is if Lenore and Green aren't out there every game, and now they have to dip into their depth. I think they're okay with Trey Brown. But after that, I do think that there are some question marks, maybe even more question marks at cornerback, and certainly with the depth than they had a year ago. Because I thought the guys they had last year, the three guys that they lost in the offseason, Ward, Yadam, and Yassine, I think all those guys, NFL players, and they're just trying to find if they have those same kinds of NFL players, guys who are good depth pieces this season. So that's a look at the 49ers cornerback position heading into training camp. Thanks for watching this video, and that is it for now.